and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force them air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one thinks countries. Laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids, no one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.tv, and I'm your host for the next hour. And where are we going to start this show tonight? I think I'll spend a little bit of time talking about a friend of mine, Michael Schmidt. He's a raw milk farmer, been all his life. And not only is he a raw milk farmer, he's also a hell of a conductor. Not of electricity, but orchestra conductor. An all-around nice guy. And he's been beat on for 21, 22 years now by the government of Ontario. And presently he's undergoing 7 trials, basically all at the same time. As they try to grind him into the dust, and the problem is that he's selling raw milk. He's not even selling raw milk. He did the milk, the cow share thing, and then they kept raiding him and breaking up his equipment and selling his equipment. You think he had a meth lab or some damn thing? It's milk. He's been doing this for 20-some years. No one has ever become ill from the milk or any of the milk products. There's a huge demand for real food, and the government doesn't want you to have real food. They keep yammering on about safety, even though no one's ever gotten the slightest bit ill. We have all kinds of things in the mainstream food market, I guess, listeria and salmonella and all that kind of stuff. You hear about recalls all the time coming out of the mainstream food markets, and but not Michael. But they just keep beating on him. And one of the deals, I guess, is that the government doesn't like competition, is basically how it boils down to. I was at a symposium, if you will, down at Guelph University, which is the agricultural university here in Ontario, and teaching the kids how to farm so that they could be loaded up by the professors. So that's how your GMOs and your toxic weed killers and that end up on the farm fields. And we're on the farm fields before the kids were sent to the university to be taught by professors how their parents should run a farm. We were down there and had a milk symposium, if that's what you want to call it, and they had some government people in there, and TVO filmed most of it. Some of the stuff they left out, i.e., the talk by the constitutional lawyer, who was not the least bit impressed with what the government was up to, but they shut the cameras down before she was filmed. Didn't want that showing up anywhere. So right now, Michael has he did day one of his trial today, and it's a 2-day trial, and the 2-day trial is over cameras that were stolen. He's been accused of theft of government property. What happened was that the Natural Resources went and set up spy cams around his farm, and so they've charged him with theft of the planted cameras. But the problem is he didn't steal them. He didn't even find the damn things. A couple of young guys from Germany were at the farm, and they ran into the cameras, saw them in the ditch, and then they searched and found more cameras. And then another gentleman went to the mayor's office for an explanation of what the hell was going on. Who gave anybody the rights to spy on Michael's farm. And then from there, the cameras went to a lawyer. So Michael never had the cameras, but they doing everything they can to shut the place down. And the cameras were found, I think, in July of a year ago. And then last October, they raided the farm and tried to move all of his stuff out of there. But thankfully, he put it out on Facebook, an alert, and an awful pile of people showed up at the farm and forced the police and the different government agencies to unload the truck, which didn't make them very happy. So they didn't charge Michael with the camera theft until after the people stood up to the police and the government agencies and forced them to unload the truck before they would allow them to leave the farm with the truck. It was after that they charged him with theft of the cameras. Anything they can do to attempt to grind this guy into the ground. So tonight when you go to sleep, let's have some, pleasant thoughts about Michael and his struggle and the struggle of the people who have become owners in the farm in order to basically make themselves untouchable by the government. But even though these people own the farms, own the farm now, the people that have the milk, the government's still coming after them. Now they've put in where they're going to try and steal the farm. The government is going to try to steal the farm now if they can't get them to shut it down otherwise. Anyway, so we're going to go. I'm going to go over there tomorrow. I didn't get there today. We're going to go over to Walkerton, Ontario, to the courthouse tomorrow morning. And I guess spend the day over there and see what happens. Now, what the problem, my big problem with this particular trial, if you want to call that, is that what people don't seem to understand, most people don't seem to understand what the word public is. And once you get in dealing with police and courts and that, it becomes very clear what public is. And public is everything that the government owns, everything in the government's interest. When they say in the public interest, they mean in the company's interest, because every company or every country is a corporation. So when they say in the public interest, they mean in the corporation's interest. Not your interest, not my interest, but the corporation's interest. That's why, see, I don't know what it's like in the United States, but up here we have this thing where you can bring a private prosecution against someone in the government that's caused you harm. Normally aimed at the police, because the police police the police, and the police ain't going to arrest the police too damn quick, so you have to do it yourself. Now, while you can bring forward a private prosecution, you can bring it forward, but then they take it away from you. You can file the paperwork, and it goes in front of a judge, and if the judge feels that there's enough evidence there to move it forward, then it moves forward. So now you've got your private prosecution underway. The problem is, after that first meeting, while the Crown can sit in on that meeting to see if there's enough evidence forward, the Crown prosecutor cannot be involved in that meeting. So if the judge finds there's enough evidence to bring it forward, then you come back to court, and that's when the prosecutor steps in and takes over your private prosecution. So it's no longer your private prosecution. It has been hijacked by the Crown. So in the case of Enos, who is a witness over in this particular trial tomorrow, what happened there was he was roughed up by the police, and he went to the hospital. He took pictures, and the doctor was absolutely ticked right off about what happened to him. So took that to court, took the evidence of the doctor to court, and first thing that Crown did was first of all, the police were supposed to show up, but they didn't. It's like you getting a summons to go to court and you don't show up. They sent a bench warrant out after your ass. But in the case of the police, they were supposed to be in court. They're the ones being charged. They didn't show up in court. Instead, the Crown Attorney shows up. And this is the determination day to see if there's enough evidence to bring the charges forward. And the Crown has no authority whatsoever. It's against the rules for the Crown to even open his mouth or her mouth during this time. Yet, over an hour, the Crown prosecutor is trying to explain to the judge that it should be thrown out, and he can't do that. Yet he did it anyways. Rules for them, rules for us, right? They can break all their own rules. We can't break any rules. They make up the rules, and they bind us to those rules, yet they don't seem to be bound to their own rules. So when the Crown comes back and simply stands up in the court and says, we're going to dismiss the charges against the two officers because it's not in the public interest. What are they saying? It's not in the public interest? Wait, a member of the public was roughed up by the police, damaged bad enough that the doctor gave evidence of it and wrote about how disgusted he was with what happened to this member of the so-called public, this man. And yet here's the prosecutor just jumps up out of his chair and says, Your Honor, we the Crown don't see any chance of conviction, and therefore it is my duty to discharge this case. Now, what's he talking about? Because it's not in the public interest. Who's the public? The public is the government. Well, of course it's not in the government's interest to have their people charged with assault causing bodily harm. So they dismiss it. Now, the police are forever going around bodily harming people and getting away with it. So Enos tried to drag him into court, and we saw what happened. But it's the public. So when they're chasing down Michael Schmidt for 20-some years, they keep saying it's in the public interest. It's about safety and it's about public. Well, in the public interest, it's the government's interest. The government has the monopoly on the milk industry here, and they know damn well people are looking for good, healthy food, which they ain't getting in the grocery stores, and they know that if they don't pummel Michael and stop him, then other farmers are going. I mean, people already do it, but Michael's attitude was he wanted it legalized, which he should not do. He's not doing that anymore. And he tried to play their game for a while, and that was, if you're so concerned about people's safety, then let's set up a inspection system so that we know that anybody selling raw milk is inspected and safe. Now, Michael has always had his milk inspected. He hires private inspectors to inspect his milk to make sure that the milk is safe and good, because the last thing Michael would want to do is harm anybody. He's trying to promote good, healthy food. But the government just sees him as competition, because if they can't shut him down, then and they don't see. That's one thing they said at the symposium, was somebody brought up, if there was money to be had by the government, then they would have legalized this long time ago. And one of the government agents actually stood up and said to the effect, well, yes, if there was a monetary benefit to us, then yes, probably we would legalize it, but we don't see that as a viable commercial business right now. So they're telling you it's all about business, and they're not going to be able to make enough money out of it. And the Mark Marketing Board is absolutely huge. They have a quota, which is worth millions of dollars per farm, and they don't want that impacted. Therefore, the choice is stomp on Michael's head, which they've been doing for a long time. But Michael has no intention of ever laying down. That's what I like about the man. First time I ever met Michael, about 10 years ago, we were at a meeting. It was actually a food freedom thing that my other friend had put on. And Michael was a guest speaker. He'd been active for many years before I met him. And I only had one question for him. I went over, shook his hand. I said, what's driving you? Right? Is it money or is it a moral stance? He says, a moral stance. Good. Let's go get him. Because that's what we got to base everything on, moral. Because legal, of course, is amoral. The legal system is an amoral system. It has no idea of right and wrong, right? It just does what it does. It's not a moral situation. And I'm a firm believer that moral will always trump amoral in the long run. You just got to stick with it. Anyways, I'm just going to throw, where did I put that? I don't imagine some people in the chat or listening or on Facebook, and I wouldn't blame you, but I use it to move stuff on when I'm not put in Facebook jail. But anyways, this is there's a site that's done by volunteers. Michael doesn't control this site, so there's some things in here I run across from time to time that don't make me 100% happy. But it's not a Facebook site. So anyways, it's thebovine.wordpress.com. So thebovine.wordpress.com. Now, I haven't been here for a long, long time. I usually just communicate over the Facebook, but I don't know where this story came from. This was, let's see, this was posted today, the 28th of June, 2016 at 9:44 a.m. So I'm going to take a real quick look at this. It said a food price increase of 395% forecast. I don't know what this is about. If you look around, you can see the sorcerers of this particular apocalypse already hard at work trying to change mankind's future into a disaster, very much like the one described here. It doesn't take much imagination to figure out what will happen when continued use of GMOs, and worse, will render much of the world's food unusable. The people of Venezuela have already been living with $150 for a dozen eggs and empty supermarket shelves, which only goes to support sci-fi author William Gibson's claim that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. Yeah, I mean it's you know, the West is being taken down. I mean, there's you know, if you looked at the East Bloc, you know, years ago when the Soviets had at them, you know, they starved the farmers out. And that's basically what they're doing now. They got a stick and a carrot, carrot and a stick method. You do as you're told. We'll give you benefits. And if you don't do as you're told, well, we'll use the stick. Michael is a case of being hit with the stick right now. Let's see. This time the Canadian. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong story. Anyways, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Some of it with Michael's cases is an update from his wife about what's going on here for the court dates and that. So there's an awful lot of information in here. There's, you know, I think I put this in the chat before, this video of Michael down in Toronto, anti-Monsanto rally. So there's an awful lot of good information here about farming, about what's wrong with the farming, and a lot to do with what's going on with Michael Schmidt. So I'll put that in. So we just gotta, you know, what we really gotta do, and that's why I like Michael so much, although we've had our arguments in the past. You know, he got sucked into politics there a bit, and was running for, for, I think he was, well, it doesn't matter anyways. At the same time, I was running as an independent, and but he's all over that stuff now. What he was basically looking for was a way to get this milk problem solved. So, you know, I don't have a problem with what he was doing there. And he's gone through the lawyers and spent a fortune on lawyers and that, only to realize that the lawyers are full of garbage and nobody should ever get a lawyer for anything. So this 2-day trial that he's involved in here today and tomorrow, he is self-defending. And, you know, way back, you know, everybody would like to think that the system is there for the benefit of the people. But as you go through this, you learn that that's not the truth. It is not to the benefit of you. It is to the benefit of only the corporation. And if you're a liar and a snake, then you can be a good politician, I guess. And you need to be a liar and a snake to be a politician. Most top politicians are lawyers who are liars and snakes. And it's the lawyers that write the legalese into the bills that become laws and regulations. So the whole thing is completely phony. It's just one big, massive corporation posing as a government. And people have got to wrap their minds around that. Anyways, and here we go. I'm just going to stick this. That's again, it's thebovine.wordpress.com. And this site is well worth looking at. And let me give you a lot of information on what Michael's been up to, what he's been through, what he continues to be through, and also he has. I'm not sure what that's even called. I know they put up somebody put up a crowdfund to raise money for all these court cases that he's dealing with. If I can find that before the end of the show, I'll stuff that in there too. So if you got a few bucks you can throw towards it, because Michael's the kind of guy that you got to get behind, because if you can't get behind a guy like Michael, well, then we've given up on ourselves, basically. Michael's a guy with a very strong mind and a very, very strong spine. You have to put up with this for 20-some years on a regular basis. He's got to the point where he's been left with basically no land, and he's worked his way back, and they raid his place, and they bust up his equipment, they steal his stuff, and he just makes you proud. You want to wave the flag, right? You want to get out there and put your hand over your heart and sing "Old Canada." We stand on guard for the corporate thee. It's sickening what goes on, and Michael's not the only one. There's many other people who are being beat up on a regular basis because the corporation's job is to make you submit. And those who refuse to submit, well, they're kind of like the canaries in the coal mine, right? And they'll take the first hit. And the idea is that we hit you hard, then you'll lay down and you will submit. There's a rare man and woman out there that don't get that. They don't get this submission thing. Why am I submitting to you or anybody else? If I harm somebody, then I'm good with that. If I harm somebody, so be it. Then I must make some sort of restitution. Everybody gets that. That's law. This other thing is corporate rules and regulations. And we've all been corporatized. You were corporatized moments after you were born. You're part of it. And you are and you aren't, because you can't be without disclosure. So it's all by hook and by crook. It's theft of the child. Turn the child into the slave of the corporation, I guess. Just let me see if I can find this. I don't know that I can. Let's see if I can find this. Crowd. I don't know what it's called. Fund Me? What is it? Fund Me? I don't know what these things are even called. See if I can dig it out here. I don't know if I'll find it or not. Oh, GoFundMe. Here it is right here. Okay, so they're doing much better now. Last time I checked it, they only had like $9,000 on it. So they're trying to raise 50 grand. And I know his legal bills are a hell of a lot higher than that. Well, this is nice. 2 hours ago, somebody put in $50. 4 hours ago, somebody put in $500. Some anonymous. Oh, Richard Roche put in 500. Oh no, anonymous put in $500 4 hours ago. 5 hours ago, anonymous put in $50. 10 hours ago, Reinhard Roche put in $500. And anonymous $50, $100, $250. So that's good. That's good news. So they've raised, last time I looked at it was only a couple weeks ago or something, and it was like $9,000, or maybe it was a week ago I looked at it, was $9,000. So throw that in there too. So if you do have a few bucks that you want to put towards something that is, you're going to get more out of that in dollars than any other way you're going to do it. This was money well spent. Anyways, I'll throw that in the chat as well, so that if, damn computer. Okay, yeah. So that's the GoFundMe thing, and if you put even $20 or $10 in there, you'll sleep better tonight, knowing that you. Uh, is raw milk as dangerous as the government drone strikes are? No, but we are building a catapult right now that will shoot cows. It's almost like Monty Python went threw the cow off the castle walls. So they're busy building catapults so that that you can take the drones down. And the government's so afraid of raw milk, we figure that when the cow hits the drone, it'll likely, expel some raw milk onto the drones, so they'll have to be destroyed, never to be used again. Because the government, when they went into Michael's to raid the place, there's a video on the internet somewhere. When they went in to raid his place, I think it was the first or second time. This is like long, long time ago. They were actually wearing hazmat suits when they went into the barn and into the milk house, toting rifles and hazmat suits, they're that afraid of raw milk. It's sad to see. My whole family, my father, my mother, my grandpa, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, they all grew up on farms, and they all drank raw milk. And guess what? We didn't lose a single one of them. And guess what? My grandma and grandpas and aunts and uncles lived to be extremely old. Not just old, not pharmaceutical old. I'm talking healthy old. I'm talking sharp as a tack old. My neighbor across the way from here, she's going to be, I don't know if she's going to be 101 or 102 this year. Farm stock. Spent her whole life on a farm and moved into town here, still in her own house. And her daughter's living with her. But if you met Mrs. Manners, this lady is more than capable of looking after herself. And she will tell you if you're an idiot, and she will tell you if you're irritating her really fast. Okay? She's not this little old lady that's, oh, how are you? If you tick her off, you're going to know about it. If you come across to her as condescending or patronizing, you're going to know about it real fast. This lady's sharp as a freaking tack. But then she didn't grow up swallowing pesticides and GMOs and pharmaceuticals and all this garbage. And the government doesn't want you healthy, right? Because the government is a corporation, and the corporation passes all the laws for all its other corporate buddies, i.e., the GMO crowd, the Monsanto crowd, the pharmaceutical crowd, and just to make sure that the judicial system doesn't grind to a halt, they have all their highwaymen out there to drag your sorry ass in order to keep the so-called judicial system running along smoothly. So anyways, yeah, if you got a few bucks, you can throw it at the GoFundMe or whatever it's called there. Michael's, feel free to do so, and it would be much, much appreciated. And the beauty of this is that we're going to win. I mean, I'm still getting people going, oh, man, they're too far ahead of us. They can't ever get too far ahead of us, okay? The truth rises. Moral trumps amoral. Truth trumps lies. And therefore, we will win. I have no doubt in my mind. It's the same as Michael. He has no doubt in his mind he's going to win, you know? I remember where did he say? He said that somewhere that, one of the best things that ever happened to him was being thrown in jail because it was liberating. Because the fear of jail no longer exists. So they can't fear you with that. They can't fear you with the idea we're going to arrest you or this. They can't fear you with that anymore. So in that sense, I guess it is a very liberating experience. And so each time they do something to Michael, it just makes him stronger, not weaker. And as we've gone through this, you know, the most amazing thing that I've seen is that all of Michael's people, for that matter, they just wanted good, healthy food. That's all they wanted. They had sick children, and the results they've had. You know, you always hear the stories, and we had Rick Simpson on the show once, or twice, I guess, maybe 3 times. I don't know. I love Rick, you know, and so he's out there with his medical oil, which has helped, who knows how untold number of people, and continues to do so. Michael, the same thing with the milk. It's about health. It's health, and they've had some absolutely amazing results. Doctors with little kids that are anemic and they can't gain weight and they're sickly all the time, and the parents get fed up with the medical system, and somebody tells them a story about raw milk or somewhere, and they hook into it. I mean, the one story is brilliant because they tried everything with their daughter, and she was just not having a good time, and put her on the raw milk. And 3 months later or something, go back to the doctor, and the doctor's freaked out. Like, look at your girl. She looks beautiful. She put on weight. Her skin's good. What happened? Well, we put her on this raw milk program. At which point the doctor turned on the parents and threatened. The doctor now threatens the parents that if they don't stop that, he will not be their family doctor anymore. So, you kind of got to watch the medical profession. When you have the medical profession, you bring the results. And I've seen this too, and I've heard about it with the wheat oil. People have cancers, or they've got problems with having energy, or they're just having a bad time, and they start using the wheat oil, and all of a sudden things start to turn around for them. And then the doctors are going, well, you shouldn't be touching that stuff. And the same thing with raw milk, no difference. Michael has a lady who has osteoporosis real bad. And she went on the raw milk program. And after, I don't know what, again, a couple, 3, 4 months, she's back to the doctor, and they're doing her scans and all this stuff because there's nothing they can do for her. And it's going, holy crap, what's going on with you? Like, your bones are regenerating. That's why, you get you didn't have old people busting hips like they do today. Okay? Because they had strong bones. Why did they have strong bones? Because they had good food. You can't have a strong mind or a strong body if you got garbage going into your body that's affecting your body. You can't do it. And so every time someone tries to break away, now meanwhile the government, the media, the UN, and everybody's, we're so concerned about people's health, and we want to get them good food and that. No, you don't. And no, you aren't. You're a bunch of lying dogs. You want people sick. You want them to die early. And you want to make as much money out of them on the way out as you possibly can. Because it's a corporation we live in. And anybody like Michael or Rick who's trying to get outside of that thing and just live like normal people would live in law, no harm, no victim, no crime. But if everybody started doing what they're supposed to be doing, then the corporations would have absolutely no power over anybody. Because you don't need them. And this is why they beat on people like Michael so hard. And it's brutal. Nobody should have gone through what he's gone through in the last 20-some years. Nobody. I mean, if you were abusing, if you or I or Michael was abusing a neighbor the way Michael's been abused over the last 20 some years, you'd have been in jail by now. You'd have been in jail a long, long time ago. But hey, it's the government. And somehow the government has the right to do this to you, which of course they don't. And I've done this before. I got to write something up to take to the court tomorrow because I want to see what kind of a rise I can get out of the clerks and that. And I'll probably go over and talk to some of the Crown attorneys too. I've been over to the courthouse for a while, and the police have quit bothering me completely since I went to the police board hearing. They've kind of backed right out of here. And so that's a good thing. But then I'm not selling raw milk. So I'm not really the kind of threat that maybe Michael is to them. But we put it up with it for over 5 years, constant harassment from the police. Haven't done anything wrong, haven't hurt anybody. But just constantly harassed, being told to submit. If you submit and be a good little boy, then nobody's going to bother you. Well, tough luck with that idea. Ain't going to happen. Now, here's something I got to say, which I think is going to be fun. Next Sunday, on the show from noon till 2, Murray Riley's going to join me. And he's been on before, but we're going to narrow this down pretty good. He's been listening to a few shows lately. And here's me ranting on about the legal system and that. And for those who don't know, Murray Riley is a retired, just recently retired defense attorney. And so what we're going to do next Sunday is I'm going to explain to Murray why the legal system is a complete and total fraud and that it is actually unlawful. And Murray is going to explain to me why we need the legal system and so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to do next Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've talked to Murray off air a few times, and he's a decent enough guy, but like I keep explaining, like I explained to the Law Society people who furnish the lawyers for the government to write the laws and regulations and the legalese into it, is that the lawyers, I'm not so sure that all lawyers know their snakes, but because, like I told the guy at the Law Society, I said, we all brought up through the same education system. And you're encouraged not to question anything. When you had a kid like me in the class who questioned everything, I would get some barbs and that tossed at me by the teachers, and I'd get threatened every now and again by teachers with this, that, or the other thing. And they're trying to get you to shut up. Don't ask questions. Submit. Our whole lives is about submission. If you just submit, life will go better for you. Well, that doesn't make any sense. But what I told at the Law Society was that, you were brought up through the same education system. You were discouraged from asking questions. You were discouraged for doing any background checks on anything, any reasonable research. You just simply believed what you were told. And you went from class to class, grade to grade, to out at 12 or out at university or out at college, and then went into doctoring or lawyering or whatever. Now we have lawyers, we have doctors now coming forward who are just astounded that they got conned that bad. They were told that the vaccines were good. A lot of the doctors now are starting to go, wait a minute, we got conned. But again, okay, they run these guys hard, right? And these guys are trying to get their degrees, and they're overwhelmed with the workload going through to become a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever. And they are indoctrinated. That's what it is. It's an indoctrination process. That we are special. We are the society of doctors. We're the society of lawyers, right? These are the common people, yada, yada, yada. And they buy this garbage. So it takes them a long time to, if ever, figure out that the whole thing's a scam. And so Murray, he spent his life as a lawyer, and now he's not a lawyer. He still believes in the need for the legal system, and I believe that the legal system is actually a system of outlawry, because everything that has ever become a statute, a rule, or regulation has harmed someone. And it's against the law to cause someone harm. Therefore, the legal system is unlawful. It is not only unlawful, it is amoral. Law is moral, legal is amoral. Now, I don't know, I'm looking forward to an interesting chat with Murray anyways next week, or next Sunday. It should be a little bit of fun. What else do I know today? I don't even want to go near the newspapers today, although I did go get my coffee this morning, and there was a guy at the counter, and it was kind of busy, and Jane, who was putting out the magazines and the rags and that, this week's issue of the rags, had some of them on the countertop, and there was a story there of OJ as some celebrity's father or some, I don't know, some white girl's father, and she wouldn't be on the cover. She didn't have some celebrity about her. And he said, look at that. O.J. Simpson is the father of this woman. And I said, well, some people would find that hard to believe. And he says, well, anything's possible. And I said, well, there's a bigger story than that one about O.J. Simpson. And he said, what's that? I said, O.J. Simpson is Hillary Clinton's brother. Well, the guy almost pissed himself. But this is how ludicrous the news media has become, right? When they do a story about Michael Schmidt, it certainly isn't positive. He's a renegade. He's outside the law. He's breaking the law. Everything he does is illegal. Think of the health and safety of the people first, Michael. Michael says, that's what I'm doing, thinking of the safety and the health of the people. Unfortunately, you guys don't spin it out right, okay? But then they're all government actors, so to speak, corporate actors. And they cover each other's butts amazingly well. They spin the stories amazingly well. And I'm really looking forward to going to the courthouse tomorrow. I'm going to have some fun with that, because I don't know what they told you in the States, but up here in Canada land, it was that we were given, this is the deal, we were given responsible government. Well, what do you mean? You gave us responsible government? Didn't we create a responsible government for ourselves? No, we gave it to you. Okay? Because just like America, we're just rebranded, be it the Virginia Company or the Hudson's Bay Company up here, our countries are corporations. And all roads, yes, lead to Rome. And we got to get rid of that attachment, right? I'm still waiting to see if I'm going to get thrown in jail for not filling out the census form. They promised me they were going to throw me in jail, and they haven't done it yet. And the deal is up here that if you don't fill out the census form, the federal prosecutors come after you. And if you refuse, they can apparently throw you in jail for 2 months and give you a healthy fine. But then my question is, if I don't pay the fine and you throw me in jail for 2 months, obviously you're going to have to release me after the 2 months. I still haven't filled out the census form, nor do I intend to. So you're using threats to get me to do it, because once I do the 2 months, you can't let me out and say you're going to fill out the form again. And I go, no. Well, they can't throw you back in for another 2 months. You know, what are you in jail for? How long have you been in jail? 29 years. What for? I didn't fill out the census form. I thought it was 2 months. Yeah, but then they let you out. They ask you to sign it. You don't sign it, and they throw you back in for another 2 months. So every 2 months I get out for a day or two, and I come back in for 2 months. I've been doing this for 29 years now. How ludicrous this crap is. But I do have the census people, the feds, agreeing that it's a fraud. They agree that Canada's a corporation. And I think I said this on one of the other shows. This is why we're going to bust their asses, man. I had about enough of this nonsense. I don't like liars, man. And I don't like con men. And I hate thieves with a passion. You know, I had a thief trying to steal my stereo one time and went over, and he was in a very vulnerable position. He laid out in the front seat with legs hanging out the door, out the driver's side, his head under the dash. Could have hurt him real good, real quick, but I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I just asked him, I go, what are you doing? He does this. It was, we were at a dance, so he does this. He goes, shh. I go, what are you doing? He says, I'm stealing this guy's stereo, nice stereo. Really? You almost got it out? Yeah, I do. I just bought out. Got one more bolt. And I said, well, do you want to bolt it back in? He said, no, I just got it out. And I said, no, but it's my stereo. It's my car. And the guy just kind of goes, oops. So I said, you're just going to bolt it back in and hook it back up, right, while I stand here. And, it could have laid a real severe beating on the guy, but that's not the point. We got to teach people right from wrong. So all I did really was, while he was bolting my stereo back in, I just said, how would you like it if you came home and somebody'd stolen whatever, your TV, your stereo, your dog even? How would you feel about that? Well, I'd be pissed off. So you're saying you don't like thieves. That's what you're telling me. Because if you came home and somebody'd stolen your stuff, you'd be upset, angry, ticked off, and go, why the hell did he steal that on me? But here you are stealing my stereo. So if you don't like to be thieved, then don't thieve anybody else. It's all about getting some right thinking into people's heads. So, in this census form, and I still can't believe they even wrote this like this. This is the very first line. The census provides a portrait of our people and our places in which we live. Now, even when I talk to the census people, I said our is possessive. Okay? Somebody, when you say our people, these are people that belong to somebody or something. And you agree Canada's a corporation. Well, yeah, Canada is a corporation. So you're saying this is a portrait of the corporation's people. So this is a corporate document, okay? So obviously there's a monetary value to this thing. And you want us to fill it out for free. There's 38 freaking pages in this thing. And nowhere in it does it use the word man or woman. Nowhere. So I explained to him, I can't fill this out because, then I'm working as an agent. And if I'm working as an agent, the agent ought to be getting paid. Now, if it said man and woman in here, I might get interested in it, but it doesn't. So it's just a corporate legal document that obviously has a monetary value to it that's going to be sold, even though you say it's going to be held confidential. Can't trust you or can't trust the corporation. So I will not be filling this out. So they admit to theft. They did admit to theft, and they also admitted that the last guy that called me, who was supposed to be calling me, who was supposed to be one of their upper-level managers, if that's what you call them, refused to give me his name when he called. Then when I called back to Census, they said he can't do that. That's against the law. When he calls, he has to give you his name and ID number. I said, no, what he did was he called and he said, I'm Census Canada. Now, he can't be Census Canada. So I asked him for his name. I didn't even want his whole name. I just wanted his first name. He wouldn't even give me that. So now it's causing a big ruckus down at Census because the one lady I was talking to, when I first was talking to them, I said, Census. When I look up Census, it's from Rome. It's a Roman invention. So am I Roman? Do I live in Rome? No. Well, then why am I filling out a census? How did you get this from Rome? Did you buy a franchise for it? Are you paying a licensing fee for it? How the hell did you get a hold of the census out of Rome? And the lady from Census says, well, we liked it. Uh-huh. And? So did you buy a franchise? You got a licensing system? No. Well, then how do you have it? Well, we liked it, so we stole it. That's what she told me. We stole it. Wait a minute. You threatened to throw me in jail if I don't fill it out, and you stole it? So if I do fill this out, I'm accessory to a crime. Because you stole it. And then when I call back to Census, and they're going, well, I said, this guy that called, this upper echelon manager that called me to answer some of these questions, a very short conversation. All he basically did was threaten to throw me in jail. Wouldn't give me his name or number. He said he can't do that. That's against the law. So now they're running around looking for this guy that called. I called back and I said, well, you better get a hold of Alan. He was a supervisor that said he was in over his head and he would get this top guy to call me. So Alan obviously knows who he got to call me, who broke the law by not introducing himself with his full name and identification, as Census Canada says is the law. So you better track his ass down and start threatening him for breaking the law. So I'll call them tomorrow, or probably the next day, because we're going to be in court all day tomorrow, I suppose, and take it from there. All we got to do is learn what we didn't learn in school, and that's language. We got to learn language. We got to go and study the meanings of all of these words they throw at us and all these convoluted sentences and whatnot. But they're getting on shaky ground. Their foundation is really starting to wobble out there. Anyways, again, go fund if you can. Throw in a few bucks for Michael. Take a look at the bovine.
Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force them air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill,